Just a question for the Prime Minister with regard to the scope of the CPIB investigation. Was CPIB tasked to look into the code of conduct of the ministers and whether the ministers acted in accordance to the code? Because the earlier explanation of the Prime Minister suggested that CPIB looked into the whole range of issues beyond legal issues. My understanding from the miscellaneous paper was CPIB was looking to see whether there was any whether a criminal or corruption offence could be disclosed.
Yeah, I have it. CPIB's instructions from me were to establish whether any corruption or criminal offence had been committed, criminal wrongdoing had been committed. You cannot do that without going into all the facts of the case, and in the process of going to the facts of the case, they came to conclusions on preferential treatment, on disclosure of privileged information, on abuse of position. And they put it into the report and in their letter to me, that they had found none of this. They went into it. And I think these are issues which are relevant to whether the ministers complied with the code of conduct or not. So I did not ask them to investigate the conduct, but they came to these conclusions, and because their main focus had been the more narrow one of the legal question of criminal offense, therefore, I complemented the CPIB investigation with SM Teo's review, and he wrote on what the CPIB did. He did further fact-finding and establishment of the policies and of the backgrounds and of the overall way the system operated and SLA operated, and his conclusions are in the report, and they are consistent.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Appreciate you calling me again. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for that reply. Coming back to the gravamen of, I think, what a lot of the discussion was over the last at least 3.5 hours with regard to asking a civil servant for information. I think Senior Minister Teo has made his point that there was, quite frankly, nothing untoward about it because the nature of the information was as such. This, of course, upon reading the miscellaneous paper, is not apparent to the public. It is quite incongruous in the eyes of many for a minister to be asking a civil servant details which pertain to information for his personal use. I think this is the crux of the issue. And when people intersect it with the ministerial code of conduct and your letter of prudence, does the Prime Minister not agree that actually this is an issue that has been flagged out and that there is a better way to address a problem of a similar nature when it crops up?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think if you remember the history of this issue, the question of the minister instructing the civil servant was not public knowledge until we brought it out. The issue has been there since, I don't know, April, over a few months, and the outrageous allegations were being made that the ministers had enjoyed improper benefits and inside tracks and were getting a sweet deal, and all sorts of very grave innuendos were being stated. Nobody cared how he found out about the properties. Now that the report has come out and all those grave suspicions have been dispelled, you focus on this question and you ask, should he have asked the Deputy Secretary? My view is he could have done it a different way. He could have done it this way. He has given the House the reasons why he did it this way. I think those are cogent reasons, which I accept.